And welcome to the Bobby Carpenter Show. And excited to be here because Mondays we get our guy Lathan Ransom right off the top today. Still down in Orlando, still training, ready to rock. And Mr. Lathan Ransom is with us. Lathan, how are we doing today? How was the last week of training so far, sir?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Watched the Lakers play last night. Finally started clicking. Got a big dub, so I went to sleep with a smile on my face, extremely happy. And now I get to talk to you guys today, so I'm in a great mood.
Yeah, you had an attitude of gratitude. Coach Stress talked about it all the time. And you woke up this morning grateful for a win by the Lakers. How's Luka doing? I mean, how about that? You got Luka Doncic now.
Yeah, I mean he was actually struggling, but the first couple games we got him, he wasn't playing up to par. He wasn't playing right. And then I seen yesterday in an interview how the head coach, he talked to him, basically said that, hey man, it's time for you. I need you to talk some trash. You need to talk crazy, act like how you normally play. And he dropped 32 points last night, and he looked great.
Okay, so it's interesting you bring that up and go with that. Because there's obviously like different dynamics as you go through playing, as you get older, especially as you're more around your coach's age. Talk about the differences, Lathan, like as you were coming up, the differences in dynamic of coaching and talking to coaches when you were a freshman versus, as a fifth year senior.
Yeah, I think, like you said, JJ Redick being so close to age, I had multiple different coaches at Ohio State, from Kerry Combs to Coach Matty G, and obviously way big different age groups. And like you said, I think, as a freshman, you don't really get any say as a freshman and sophomore. You have to really earn that, to where this past year, being an older guy, Coach G did a great job of really hearing what I had to say, giving my opinion, what me and Caleb were seeing in the game, making in-game adjustments from the players, because coaches see it from a certain point of view, but no one sees it better than the players in the game, man. So I think Coach G did a great job at that, and that's why we were able to play at such a high level.
All right, you're going into a rookie season. You're with the team. What is Lathan Ransom going to be about? Because like we just talked about, right? Freshman to a senior, a lot of maturity going on there. What do you take into being a rookie in a rookie mini camp and showing that organization what you're all about and those veterans?
About the team, man. The team, the team, the team. That's what I'm gonna be about. Anything I can do to help the team, any way I can help the team, whether it's special team, scout player, whatever I got to do to help the team, man, and help us win. And that's what I'm gonna be. Me, try to be the most unselfish guy I can possibly be, the most coachable guy I can possibly be, and learn as much as I can from veterans. Just try to be a sponge of the game. That's what you can expect from a player like me.
Yeah, that's a big piece of it, man. As a rookie, like no vets really want to hear from rookies. That you want to be seen and not heard. It's like being a young child. Like you're back to the kids' table again, Lathan. So you've got to earn all of that through like film study, and that's usually how it goes. Is if you can bring something to the table that you caught on film that nobody else is seeing, it's like okay, well this guy's obviously watching a lot, trying to figure stuff out, at an incredibly high level. And so that's big. That'll be huge for you, obviously moving through. What did we have going on this week? I know in combine training, start working on like different elements, different aspects of it. I mean, what have we kind of been working on this week? Because next week, rather later this week, I mean, you're going to be at the combine. Now, maybe not doing the physical part, but all the mental stuff is all going to be there.
Yeah, I've been doing as many meetings I can do, trying to get on the board, just preparing myself for possible questions they can ask, possible ways that they can try to really make me think and explain the game, and then been meeting with as many people as I can that have already been at the combine, just getting their input, getting their insight, anything that they wish they would have known beforehand or they wish they could have did differently, and then man, just reminding myself at the end of the day that I've been doing this since I was a little kid. It's the game I love. And I feel like I'm gonna make sure that all the coaches and everyone who talks to me understands how much I love football, how the game of football has changed my life, man, and how I just want to play as much as I can.
Yeah, I mean you're that type of guy, Lathan. That's why we have you on. Like you make us both proud, Bobby and myself. I'm speaking for Bob on this, but like we're proud that you're a Buckeye. You're one of our brothers. Let's talk a little bit about Ohio State, man. So, Brian Hartline, boom, elevated. He's now the offensive coordinator. You were there with Brian. You got Coach Bailey, boom, he's a co-offensive coordinator. Then you have OG. Now he's a co-defensive coordinator, and you have Coach G, and he is now the passing game coordinator. And then you bring in a Matt Patricia. Like you outside, knowing all those guys going down, kind of what's your take on how Coach Day and the Buckeyes have constructed this sort of new, right, offensive staff or, defensive offensive staff?
Yeah, I really like what Coach Day did, man. All the guys that I was rooting for to, get promotions and and get what they deserve, man, they got it. And I really I think that's amazing that, the Ohio State dudes, they rewarded, the guys that are loyal, worked extremely hard behind the scenes, grinded and rewarded them, man. So I think that's awesome to watch those guys be successful. And then talking to Coach D the other day, I heard Matt Patricia is an extremely smart guy, that's gonna come in and do some creative things on the defensive side. So I'm excited to see what he does and while also, not changing our defense too much to what it was different from it last year. So I'm excited to see the spin that he has on it, and I'm excited, to watch these guys play in new positions.
How much trash talking was done between BIA and Zone 6, and how much of that was led by Coach Hart?
Yeah, all types of trash talk. I think that's what made us so much better is every day the game. I don't think that's what people don't understand is that every time we go out there, we're facing the best receivers across in the country. And that's funny when I've been asked by, some of the coaches and NFL scouts is who's the best players you went against, who's the best receivers you went against. And it's hard to tell them. And it's my teammates. Like there was no one better than the teammates I've seen every day at practice. And I think that's what makes Ohio State so special.
How is that? I mean, you had competitive excellence from the time you started winter conditioning all the way through spring football, into the summer, into camp, and then into practice. And then now you have to search out your own competition of the iron sharpening iron. How difficult has that been as it was where you thrived in that situation? And then how difficult can that be once you get in the league and everybody like starts to have families and, different times and different schedules? Like, how are you going to fill that bucket that you know that you need to make yourself sharper?
Yeah, I think that Coach Mick did such a great job of instilling in us through this, the offseason. And then as we got into practice, man, is you got to do anything you can to win. You got to do whether it's claw, scrape, to any chance, to give you a competitive edge to win that. And I think when I'm gonna do that, continue to do that, when we get to these practices and wherever I end up, man, just keep that mentality, never change that mentality because Coach Mick has drilled it in my head. And then I feel that I'm someone, man, to where like when I got to this facility here, I try to find, the best players and compete with them in all the drills and everything we do, and then find guys that like to get extra work. I feel like at the next level, there's always going to be a couple dudes that want to get extra work, and whether it's the film room or get extra work and drills. So I'm gonna just gravitate towards them, and then if there isn't guys like that, I'll be the one to do that. And eventually, they're going to get tired of that rookie, and they're always trying to get extra work and extra drills. But that's what I want to be known as, that guy.
How excited are you? And this is something that people don't realize. Like nothing breaks up faster than a football team after the season, especially with where you guys were. And everyone goes their own places to train. They're working on different things. And you go from seeing guys every day for 4 years, or at least 5 or 6 days a week at a minimum, to ultimately scattering a million directions. This will be the first time that you'll have seen some of these guys in probably 2 or 3 weeks, really since the celebration, especially guys like Denzel and Jordan, who you'll be with there at the combine. Have you communicated with guys, or how excited are you to kind of see some of those dudes again?
Yeah, I've talked to those guys, but man, I'm extremely excited to see those guys. I mean, like you said, those are my brothers. I mean, if you think about that run that we had in the playoffs, I've spent so much time with those guys and those coaches, being with them every day in the facility for 12 hours, 14-hour days. And then you just get separate away, and I'm by myself here all the time. So I'm excited to get around them and see those guys, man. I'm excited to see, what they do at the combine, what they do at Pro Day, and then ain't nothing's going to be more exciting to see where all of us end up. So I pray every day that hopefully I end up with a Buckeye on my team because there's so many of us going to the draft. So I think it's a high possibility.
What's something that has surprised you as guys have left and they're at different locations, as you guys just talk back and forth about the process? Has there been anything that's been kind of surprising to you? You don't have to name names or anything, but just some stuff that you didn't think of that presented itself during this time?
I think more just how much, after a long season like that, like you think once it's over that your body gonna feel better, but that week after your body's still sore. So I think just talking to those guys and they've just explained it to me, man, like, yeah, I'm still sore from the game, or I got this little ding or that. And we got to get straight into training. So you really got to suck it up at that point. But I think just, how how much of a toll that season has on your body.
Yeah, you can see that. And you're like at the beginning now, Lathan, of what is one of the longest stretches like of anybody's life. And you guys obviously won the national championships. You played so many games, you're like kind of in like the second phase. And then you get to the off season, and then you've got the season, which is almost itself like the fourth quarter, which will be the longest phase of your life. It's incredibly impressive as you go through it all and what you have to process with everything. Like, are you prepared to get back to the cold? Are you prepared to come back and see all of this? And then after the combine, like, are you going back to your training facility? Or are you going to then train at OSU? Like, what are the plans here after this upcoming week when you will be done, I guess, in the combine prep portion, even though you guys have pro day?
Yeah, so I'll be coming back here, you know, to get ready for the stuff that I might not do at the combines that I do at pro day and excel at pro day, and then probably go to Ohio State a week or before our pro day and start working, you know, with the guys at Ohio State and talking to them how everything's going to go. And then it's funny is I keep talking to guys and I'm going to be so excited once we finish this combine and pro day, and to where I could just, you know, not have to worry about all this stuff anymore, because it is definitely a different process than just playing football.
We'll take a quick break because I want to talk a couple other things, like what Viv's doing with that, his lovely girlfriend, how that's operating, what's going on there. And then also, like, I talked to him, so I gave him a little homework. I wanted him to watch that USA Canada hockey game that was on Thursday.
Yeah, Four Nations.
Yeah, the Four Nations Cup, and just see his kind of thoughts on that. Export there for you. Protect what matters most. They're trusted by professional athletes, designed by NHL team dentists. Export mouth guards are scientifically tested to absorb those high-impact hits, protecting both your teeth and your brain. Export mouth guards feature 3 layers of advanced protection. For patented use of carbon fiber, they 3D print that bad boy right to your smile. So you'll be good for more protection, better performance, max comfort, clear communication, so you can focus on your game, not on your gear. Don't take chances with your safety. Visit exportguards.com/Bobby. Save 15% on your order. Export, protect what matters most. A little bit more with Lathan Ransom coming up next. All right, welcome back in. We got our guy Lathan. We got him potted up and ready. And Schlegs was asking what was going on with Vivian, your girl Viv, and everything going on there, and how excited you are to kind of finish all that up in your with this to get back to your normal personal life.
Yeah, I mean, right now she actually came out here to visit me for a couple of days, and now she's back in Columbus, and yeah, I think she's getting ready for, I think, making a decision on, you know, where she might play and where she's going to play. So I know she's excited about that. But yeah, I can't wait for this process to be over. Even though I love it and I know it's part of the deal, but at the end of the day, I'm a football player and I love playing football. I'm not I'm not all these drills and, or not even drills, all this other stuff that's not football. I mean, I'm doing it because I got to. But yeah, I'm gonna be excited, you know, to get to my normal life, get to breathe a little bit after this whole process is over. But right now, like I said, when we first got on here, I'm just enjoying the process and finding, you know, happiness and love through it all.
Hey, Lathan, I'm gonna ask you this, Lathan. There was a thing, and I was going through some like show notes, and there is a clip that we had on there, and it was 25 times this season Ohio State opponents has had first and goal. 9 times they came away with 0 points. Like, when you see a stat like that, and we all, like, there's a sense of pride in having great goal line defense. But you guys are probably one of the best goal line defense, like, in the country this year, but like ever. How does that make you feel, man? Because again, now you get to go back and look back, you know, at what we guys were able to accomplish. Like, how does that make you feel when I said, hey, man, 9 trips in the red zone out of 25, they got 0 points?
Yeah, what's crazy, but I think we ended up getting points on, like, there's a statistic of we got points actually, I think once or twice out of that, or some weird. But nah, I think it's so funny is, I think, like you said, we talked about how Coach Mick, us competing in the before the season and everything was a competition. That is the embodiment of all the work we had put in prior to that season, man. I think Coach Mick needs to put that on the whiteboard or a poster or something, just that statistic, because exactly on the board because man, when we got down to that goal line, we all looked at funny. We got to a point when we got to the goal line, we almost gained more confidence as when offense would get down there just because we knew how great our defense was in the red zone and in the goal line. And it's funny now when I hop on the game and I'm playing against someone on NCAA and they get in my goal line, I always talking about, man, this that Ohio State goal line defense. Like you're not gonna score. So, but I think, man, like you said, I think we had the best goal line defense ever. So to be a part of that, man, is so special. And I was talking with a guy the other day just about our whole run and just to look back at it and just think about it. It's still crazy. Just think about all the stories and everything we went through, man. It's still crazy. I'm just blessed to just be a part of it.
That's pretty great. Couple other things too. I gave you a little homework, Lathan, to watch the USA Canada Hockey Four Nations. Now it didn't end up the way that America would have wanted. It was a tough loss. How much of that game did you catch? Any of it? Did you watch some of it?
It's funny. I was going to text you, when I was watching it. You had sent me a text, but yeah, I actually tuned in. I told my dad. I actually got my dad to watch it too, back at home, and we were watching it. And man, I was hoping to see a couple fights because I had saw that there was some the day before, but there wasn't any the one I watched. But I seen, or there was a little bit, but man, it's crazy to see how fast that they move on that ice. They move around. Their endurance, like hockey, man, I never ever played hockey and I can't even skate. So to see them, the way that they move, cut, they hit in. I'm still learning, all the rules and everything going on, but it was definitely entertaining and fun to watch, even though, we didn't come out on top.
Yeah, the blue line, the red line, the forechecks, like I don't even know, right? Hey, what is your favorite sport? What is your favorite sport to watch? I know you like watching NBA.
Yep.
Like, what's another sport that you appreciate how they play the game, the skill sets that required to play the game?
Yeah, I learned to appreciate soccer. I didn't really watch soccer and enjoy soccer, but with Viv, she always make me watch soccer, and I learned to appreciate it. And then, man, when you see some of the stuff that they're able to do with that soccer ball with their feet, like try to do a couple soccer drills with your feet, man, and you realize how hard it is extremely quickly. And then there's been times, where I try to play defense on Viv, and it's a lot harder than than you think. So I definitely learned to appreciate soccer.
All right, so we're gonna toss this up. Our guy AJ Hawk, he came out with some Legends cards, and he got a Legends card EA Sports rating of a 98. I mean, when you always look back, Lathan, you're always better than what you were. Everybody always remembers that. I mean, if you're a Lathan Ransom, a Legend card, like what are we looking at? What are our ratings going to be?
First of all, they had dropped a card for me earlier this year. I don't know why they don't they're not showing me as much love as I feel I deserve on that game sometimes, but that's for another story. But I laugh and think that my card, the tackling and toughness need to be at 100. That needs to be at 100 like that. And then they need to give me an ability of punch out. I need a punch out ability on my card, and a great awareness. Give those. I'll be happy if they give me those as high as they can be.
Big thanks.
I'm giving them all hundreds, Bob, because I love that guy.
He's the best. Well, Lathan's not the fastest, dude. I don't know if we can give him 100 in speed. I wanted to find out what his thoughts were like as we're going to get into this. Coming up next with the news that Nebraska and USC are going to be moving on from their spring game, Schleiks. And so, what does that look like?
You know what? I cannot wait to leave Orlando and get some Wi-Fi because I'm trying to keep my
Orlando's freaking terrible, bro.
Bad. The thought, Nebraska, I want to give you this and then get you out of here with this, Lathan. The Nebraska and USC are coming out talking about how they're canceling their spring games. For a guy who went through maybe 5, I don't know how many springs you went through at Ohio State. You're probably hurt for some of them. Like, talk about the importance of the spring development and what that means to maybe younger players and then what that looks like for maybe older players.
Yeah. I think I have mixed emotions on the spring game, but I think that, the spring games are great to get out there, be around the families that get to come watch the game, be in an environment before, you play in the first game in the shoe. And then my first spring game was actually special because as a recruit going to Ohio State, I never saw any Ohio State games. I just committed to the program before, seeing a home game. So that was my first experience in the shoe, which was pretty special. But as an older player, I think, it's good to get out there and they take a lot of reps from some of the older guys, so get a couple reps. But I think what's so special about the spring game is seeing them young guys get to play. seeing them young guys get to play, fly around, the young freshmen, the freshmen that just got there, make plays, and then you get to see them under the lights. Like, it's easy to make some plays at practice, but this is the first time you get to see those young freshmen in a game environment and see if they, to continue to make plays and do their job when the lights are bright. So I think it's special, man. I know people get worried about, injuries or scouting and stuff like that, but I go in it with the perspective is you can get injured in another practice, you can get injured in a workout, you can get injured wherever. So I never go into a game, thinking about injuries. Just go in there, to have fun and do what you do on the football field any chance you get.
Absolutely. Well, Lathan, we appreciate your time, man. Thank you for spending it with us. Hopefully have a good time at the Combine. I'm sure we'll talk to you at some point around there. When you officially have to report? What day?
So I leave on Tuesday. And I think the DB drills are Friday. So, I get out there and do some drills and then do a bunch of interviews like this with hopefully some guys that are as cool as you guys.
We'll see. That'll be a good time. There'll be a ton of media guys out there and some coaches. You'll be meeting with everybody, Lathan. And you'll do a great job. So good luck to that. And I'm sure we'll catch up again here soon. All right.
Appreciate you guys, man. You guys have a good one.
All right. That's our guy, Lathan Ransom, one of our favorites. He's well-trained, well-schooled, and one of the best dudes you're going to find. And so it was interesting, like hearing his thoughts on the spring game. And we get the thoughts on the spring game of one Mr. Anthony Schlegel coming up next.
Welcome to Big Play, the fastest growing sports media company in America.
I'm gonna keep it straight with you. The reason you should watch our show is because I look good, baby.
Come get some!
Join our millions of fans for live sports talk shows hosted by the top former athletes and sports personalities in the industry.
Ohio, it's my home state.
Obviously, I'm a diehard Cleveland sports fan.
Watch what you want, where you want, when you want. Welcome to Big Play.
Before we get to our thoughts on the spring game with Lathan Schlegel, the AJ Hawk card, the legend card, EA Sports legend, the ultimate team, 98 total score, speed 94, acceleration 93, strength 89, which he's gonna be mad about that. Like he would take less than the
below
speed.
90, bro.
Yeah, he would take less in the speed and more in the strength. Tackling 96. Play recognition is a 95. I'm not sure what BSH
That's
is.
bashing.
Bashing? Are you sure?
I'm just gonna make that up. No, I don't have no clue.
That's not bashing. I have no idea what some of that other stuff is. Block shed, PMV. I don't know what
Pass
PMV.
man.
Yeah, power move. Oh, and then finesse move or whatever. I don't know. Yeah, finesse move. So those are it. That's where he gets it. Oh gosh, on his power move, he's only 85. AJ's good.
All of the good things that he would want, he's in the 80s. The other stuff that he could give two craps about, he's in like the mid 90s. And how that all boils up to an 98 is beyond me because I don't see a number in there higher than 96. So I'm kind of confused as to how that looks that way. But anyway,
I think when you
he's a legend.
Oh, he is a legend.
And he looks sweet bro. First off, the gray sleeves. Mwah. Okay. Second off, remember, Bob, how we used to we had to go out and get our own. Like he always wore a black undershirt, and they gave us like undershirts, but he had his own black and we had the little band around the elbow. Like we all had those, and I switched to a Mueller because I'm just a meathead, and that's what I needed to do. But I remember you used to cut. Remember the thicker bands, Bob? You used to cut those and make them longer.
Yeah. I mean, that was
sweet.
Yeah, you do that. Then we'd go buy our other wristbands. Like this is back in the day where we'd go legit the finish line, and I would go there and see what they had wristband wise and buy some other flair. We'd all come back in with our own stuff. And AJ would buy his black Under Armour shirts because we all had the white Nike ones underneath, and he didn't want to wear that. He wanted the black Under Armour. That was his accent. That's what they wore at Centerville. It was all black funeral move because he was going to a funeral. And just of the opposition. And maybe he was going to be the pallbearer. Little WWE big time wrestling. So kudos to our guy, Mr. AJ Hawk, Aaron James Hawk. We'll get his thoughts on that on Wednesday. So make sure we save that, Schlegs.
Okay, I'm saving it.
To be able to get that for him because that's going to be exciting as well. Now, we promised we teased the spring game. Ohio State is still having, a spring game, spring celebration. They start spring ball on St. Patty's Day, March 17th. Your thoughts, Schlegs, on the spring game, what it's all about, the productivity of it, what it means. I mean, we can listen to Matt Rule right here talk about why they're canceling it first, and then I want to hear kind of your thoughts.
But I'll be honest with you, I highly doubt it. And I think it's really fundamentally, I hate to say it like this, it's really because last year we're one of the more televised. We were one of the more televised spring games, and I dealt with a lot of people offering our players a lot of opportunities after that. So to go out and bring in a bunch of new players and then showcase them for all the other schools to watch, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. The word tampering doesn't exist anymore. It's just absolute free, open, common market, and so I don't necessarily want to open up to the outside world. I don't want these guys all being able to watch our guys and say, wow, he looks like a pretty good player.
We see a pretty good player. Let's go get him, Schlegs. I mean, there is the advertising element of your roster. There's an injury element of it too. Kind of what are your thoughts on what needs to be accomplished in the spring versus how the spring actually kind of usually unfolds?
So this goes back to, when are you going to do the portal? You only need one. And then if you had it, like he said, if you had it like after the season, again, this all is predicated upon what we've been discussing. We said, the end of the school year would be a great transition. Coaches are anti that. They want it to be before. So then what do you got to do? You got to bump everything up, eliminate the conference championship games, get right into the playoffs, go to 14, fine. The 2 top teams get a bye. That way you can play 2 home and homes. Season ends earlier. Boom, portal opens up. Everybody has a fair shot. Now you got them for a year. Then you don't have to worry about other people looking at your guys. So that's how you take away that. Then you have the injury perspective. And I'll say this, man, it's a contact sport. And again, who are you trying to develop? Because kids play so much 7-on-7, they can hurt any time. It's really the offensive defensive line where the physicality up front matters. And again, now, like Lathan brought up a great point that we don't talk about enough, but it's your first exposure to where essentially 80,000 plus people, 90,000 people in the stands for an Ohio State spring football game. It's a spring showcase. You want to see competitive excellence. Like, that's how you win jobs, when it's live. And you can only have so many live periods at a practice, but to be able to go on that stage, separate them. We want to see these matchups of these younger guys. They already know who are going to be, Sonny's not going to get a ton. Caleb's not going to get a ton, right? Et cetera, et cetera. So you got to see those guys in live bullets to compete. That's what Lathan was talking about. I love his perspective about the injury thing, because it can happen at any given point, which is also a very difficult thing when you talk about the difference of the pro game versus the college game, because it's a lot different when you don't have to get your body physically prepared for full contact spring football, as opposed to them being able to go through a 9-week OTA and a mandatory 3-day minicamp that is in shoulder pads and helmets only. So very, very different. I think it will probably go to that model. You look at this year at Ohio State, normally they had the first week of spring football prior to spring break. That is not the case this year. It's actually right after, if I'm not mistaken, right, Bob?
Yeah.
So it's right after. So they're going to go 4 weeks of condensed as opposed to 5, because it allowed them to give another week of the 20-hour rule.
Yeah, meetings and everything.
Yeah, so there's benefits to all of it. I just think this. I think, one, it gives fans that normally don't go an opportunity to buy tickets for the entire family, get in the shoe, and support your Buckeyes. 2, it's for the younger guys into the development, especially those in the front 7 on both sides of the football, because you got to see good on good, live on live, competitive excellence. And then it's a showcase to see who's going out there, because one thing to do it at practice, it's another thing to say, hey, you got 3 series. What are you going to do with it? Quarterback position or wide receiver position. Like, you got to go out there and make every snap count. And that's kind of the beauty of it, because that's a game.
It is. And so, like you said, the finding a way to make sure, families can come out and enjoy the day, getting the young guys the development during the spring. But then there's no substitute for getting in the stadium and getting some live looks with refs, with officials, and with a bunch of people watching, in front of God and everybody, especially if you're a defensive back like Lathan, and understanding like what that's like to get beat when people ooh and ah, like that 15-yard out in practice feels like a 40-yard touchdown when everyone's like, ooh, ah, and it's a great play on the sideline. So you've got to be able to put that out of your mind, as a player and then begin to move forward and to make progress and to be able to get things done. And so that's a really big piece of it. And so we'll see if they're able to still do that and what this looks like. I understand why some coaches aren't, but I also understand, why Ryan, I think in Ohio State, they want to keep doing some form of it. Maybe it's a celebration more than a game. Go.
And I want to say this too. Think about this, right? Like even as a head football coach, you also are developing who, Bob?
Young
the
man.
coaching staff.
Coach, yes, good job.
And so there's another layer to this, right? The development, when you break up the teams, you as a head coach now get to step back and see holistically what is that going to – I mean, again, we have a new offensive coordinator. We have a new defensive coordinator at Ohio Stadium. Are they going to be in the box? Are they going to be on the field? Who's going to be in the command when they're talking on the field to the players to make sure that they get the right information and making those adjustments? Like all of that, the more times – because there's only 2 times that they actually get those live reps, Bob, and it's during the spring football game, actually 3. There's the Saturday before the spring football game because that's normally like the most competitive one because it's straight offense versus defense. But it's normally at the Woody, not in a box, right, et cetera, et cetera. But in a game, in the shoe, spring football game. And then we always do like a walkthrough mock during the preseason. But that's not like hardcore live because you got week 1 coming up. So it's just different. But the more they can get used to, hey, I'm in the box now, and the communication from a coaching staff, that's also very, very important.
Absolutely. A lot of good stuff there, Schleiks. And I was going to forget about the fact that coaches going through the iterations of getting the calls in, how that works, all the rigmarole with that, the communication in game. Very, very good stuff. So great talk right there with all that and the importance of the spring game and the spring practice to the young guys. And we haven't even got into like the offensive and defensive line development and how important that is to have those guys in with pads and what you need to ultimately do. All right, we're long for a break, but we've got our headlines coming up next. We got 2 headlines of some cool news about 2 Buckeyes, Will Howard, Carnell Tate. We'll tell you what that is coming up next. We'll start with our guy, Will Howard here. So I saw this post on Twitter from Bucknuts. Will Howard, we talked about this coming into the season, probably a 3rd to 5th round pick. With how he played, especially in those final 4 games, people start looking at what he did, his accuracy, his ball placement, his leadership. And now he's starting to be mocked, in kind of the second round. I don't know if he can creep into the first, just because he might not have some of that elite top end ability. And, there wasn't the expectation for him to be this guy for 4 years. But I think the more you see this, the more likely it could happen that Will Howard could be creeping into that second round.
Well, for me, when I look at Will and I look at the NFL is all about fits. And the success that you're going to have in the NFL is about where you start and the fit that you have there. And so that's the number one thing. Regardless if you go first round, second round, third round, doesn't matter. It's all about the fit. Now, again, Will can run now. I'm excited to see what he does at Pro Day. I don't think he's going to run at the Combine, but I'm excited to see what he does at Pro Day because I think he'll probably be one of the fastest quarterbacks at 6'4", 6'3", 236 pounds.
Yeah.
So that's a big deal right now. And we also saw how he didn't give up a lot of sacks. He just didn't go down. Like he's a hard guy to bring down. And people look at that. That's a Roethlisberger. That's that Josh Allen, right? That's hot right now. So they like the bigger body quarterbacks that can step up. What's up?
That's Hansel. He's so hot right now, Schleiks.
Oh, he's so hot right now, Hansel. I love you, Zoolander. Love it. Anyways, there's some of those things. It will probably be like they're looked more at like the arm strength, but then there's also the completion percentage. And I think that's where, the question, I can already tell you, they'll ask him, just so you guys know, in these meetings, all right, cool. You're a 61% completion percentage guy in college. You go to Ohio State. It's all about the system, right? You're just a system quarterback. They're gonna push on him like that, guys. And unequivocally, like, no, I came to Ohio State. I got developed. I was a 73%er. Guess what? I also had great wide receivers. They have great wide receivers in the NFL. So why would it be any different? Then let me get on the board. Let's draw some things up. Let's talk some shop. And that's the kind of moxie that you want. That's the kind of guy that Will is. I think he's going to do very, very well in the meetings. I think he's going to run really fast, like surprisingly fast. And it will be about those completions and how he looks throwing the football comparatively. Will there be guys that have better arm strength than Will? Sure. But you know what, though? As the season progressed, he got significantly better at throwing the deep ball. So he has a lot of momentum because nobody's been able to see a run like this in a playoff, good on good, like this in a long time, except for a Joe Burrow. Joe's obviously very, very talented.
Yeah, Joe doing some really great things there. And
I saw Joe's dad Sunday, Fury game. Jim, yeah, they're there. They got some ownership stake in the Columbus Fury. I was out there telling chicks to spike it in their faces, like, leave no doubt, take it out. I said that. Take that shit from them, and they did 3 sets. And there's Jim over there and his wife. I'm like, what's up? What's crapping?
He's the best, man. Him and his wife.
He's awesome.
He was my brother's DB's coach and D coordinator for the Bobcats back in the day. So pretty exciting right there to see that going. All right. We also got our guy, Schlags, Mr. Carnell Tate. Getting to do some cool things. And this is when you win. This is what you get to do. The natty champ Carnell Tate gets to ignite the match versus the Crew. Just opened up the season. Hey, look at this, Schlags. Look at the strength for him to knock through that wall. Like, the dude's been hitting the weight room. Look at that explosion, acceleration, bursting through. Just bam, knocking it down. Good crowd pump. We got to work. We need more like big bust, not just a little mini pumps. You got to bring it from like down low.
Explain more, Bob. Go into like the essence of the crowd pump, because he had kind of like soft arms right there, right? Like, why don't you give an example of what you're talking about with the crowd pump and the why behind it?
Well, you want a crowd pump, Schlags. It's like a squat. That's a full range of motion that's being able to get in there. So a lot of times you want to start from almost your arm at your side all the way to bring that thing up and like whoosh. You're getting a lot of energy. People want to feel like you're collecting energy and like throwing it at them. So you want to start low with it. And if you can even start with like bent knees and almost like a hang clean prone position to where you're kind of bringing some of it up with you and exploding through the air, that's the type of juice that we need to go.
You're just throwing all that juice up in the air, and it's just like the wind, boom. It's going to go and just sprinkle down, rain over everybody like Mount Vesuvius of juice right there in the stadium, Bob. I see where you're throwing down.
I like it. And that's something I worked on a lot, Schlags, and that was key. I want to have this note out there. Carnell Tate's going to be at the Cleveland Auto Show the day before Big Play. Will be there as well. So a lot of the guys from Big Play will be up there. Schlags, I think we signed autographs at the Cleveland Auto Show a long time ago. when we were, Lathan's age, not quite, a little younger than Carnell, but coming out and getting a chance to do that. All right. We got our favorite segment coming up. It's our Tailgate Talk, brought to you by our friends at RealTruck. Let's go check that out and get some of the questions and comments that you'll love to hear. We'll talk about that next here on the Bobby Carpenter Show.
We know trucks. We live trucks. We love trucks. For everyone who owns one and everyone who should, we're the leading truck accessory brand in the U.S. with top-selling upgrades for your truck with guaranteed fit, free shipping, easy install, expert support, and thousands of dealers just a click away. Get the most out of work, life, and all your outdoor adventures. Bring your truck to life. RealTruck.
Tailgate Talk is brought to you by our friends over at RealTruck, the #1 truck accessory brand in the United States, the biggest probably since Lincoln, with top selling upgrades for the ultimate tailgate party. Gear up for next season. Bring your truck, heck, your Jeep, your Bronco, whatever it is, to life at realtruck.com. And when you spend $100, poof, David Copperfield, they waive the shipping, because that's the type of crew that they're about. All right, we're going to go to some of the comments that we had. We had a big show last week with Brian Hartline. I mean, tens and tens of thousands of folks watched that thing. Pretty good. A lot of comments coming here in the chat as well. And it was one interesting by Thomas Kern saying Heartline's attitude trumps everything else. No wonder the recruits respond to that guy. Cannot wait to see how he does this season. Got to keep that dude at Ohio State as long as possible. And when you hear someone like talk like about the positivity, the juice, the enjoyment, like it's a big deal. It's a big deal. And he did a great job with it.
Yeah, I mean, I got the same thing today from Panda Express, and I like to go to Panda Express because they give you fortune cookies. And when I like to eat them too, I like to see what it is. It's really not a fortune, but more of a statement that my warmth radiates upon those around you. And I'll tell you this, I think guys that played, they experienced a lot of coaches, and all coaches make an impact, some greater than others, some positive, some negative. When you're around as much ball as Brian Hartline has been, you know what resonates for you and also what resonated for another guy. We saw that in our own room. Heck, when you have children, they're all freaking different. Okay, the standard's the same. Parenting might be slightly different. So the art of coaching and what Brian has done, and I loved his question that he said, like, how do you want to be coached? Man, coach, I want to be coached really hard. It's like, oh, it's almost like they got to sign a waiver.
Yeah.
As to like, what does hard, like, here's what hard means, right? I'm going to be so fanatical, so into the weeds and the details of route running. And you, to be the best version of you, I'm going to be all over you. Are you sure you want that? Are you sure? Yes, coach, I want. Okay, you got it, right? And then you live up to that. And so I just love his offense.
That same waiver strikes. That sounds like something like with all the descripting of what you're doing there. That's something you want to make sure that we know.
She signed off on that Valentine's Day 2004. Signed off.
That's good.
On the warmth that radiates out of me right here. Boom, all over those around you.
That's right. You and Panda Express getting it done. Yep. Maybe the Kung Fu Panda will make an appearance today and you'll have a real panda day. Here's a great one, Schleiss. You're going to like this.
Okay.
This comes from DRM Mr. Dude 7064. The best players play. This is in air quotes. GMFB. Give me a freaking break, Schleiss. Julian Fleming was not part of the best five, much less the best three. He also should give some flowers to Zach Smith for handing the best wide receiver room for his freshman year as a wide receivers coach. Now, I think there is some truth to this. Like Zach Smith did do a great job recruiting Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson. Zach was doing a great job there recruiting those guys. I think Hart's ability to coach routes and coach players is probably second to none that I've ever seen at the receiver position. People have different ways they evaluate. And so, I always ask someone like, this guy can't do this. I'm like, what would you base that off of? And no one ever responds to that. Give me, especially when it's off like a limited sample size, so they haven't seen him a lot. And I'm like, so you're going to tell me you're going to base this off like a couple plays or a couple games? But it's crazy to kind of hear those thoughts coming out. I know Hart did have a good, talented room, but he has taken that and then grown that as well.
Well, I mean, I'll answer the first part of that. Having coached with Zach did a phenomenal job, guys.
Yeah.
And regardless of everything that transpired, I still think very highly of Zach Smith and what he was able to do at the wide receiver position. Absolutely. Very talented on the board, like good coach, man. And so, yeah, but my question then would be like, why should you have to give flowers to anybody for that, especially since it's like 6 years ago, right? I mean, Brian's been there for 8 freaking years. So it's like, I got to go back and like all the first round picks that I've given, that I've developed over the last 8, I still got to go all the way back. That'd be like Urban talking about his national championship and thanking Tress for like changing the culture. You know what I'm saying? Like what are you talking about? Like that's asinine. Okay. Nobody's going to go in a business like, hey, I want to thank the previous, vice president of sales for really laying out some badass SOPs so we can have the best quarter and best year that we had. Shut the front door. Now, 2, I think that Brian, like the sample size of players, heck, you could even talk about Cody even, right? And linebackers that were there before and like the best players play. We don't know all the ins and outs and what transpired. And especially when guys are putting them out there, like their livelihood is, I always look at it this way. Their livelihood is on the line, Bob. You and I know this more than anybody else. None of you getting fired for your job and what the crap that you do. Hell, most of y'all probably don't even go into work. So nobody's looking at that. right? But if a dude's job is on the line, I guarantee you he's going to play the best guys that he thinks is going to be able to win. I'm just saying.
Well,
it is
because
college football. Everybody, just letting you know.
They're a reflection of the coach, and so like if you're not the behavior you see is either taught or allowed, and you've got to make sure that you're getting the best stuff out there. We're long for a break. We're going to come back with parting thoughts for 30 seconds with our Mr. Anthony Schleifer.
We know trucks. We live trucks. We love trucks. For everyone who owns one and everyone who should, we're the leading truck accessory brand in the U.S. with top-selling upgrades for your truck with guaranteed fit, free shipping, easy install, expert support, and thousands of dealers just a click away. Get the most out of work, life, and all your outdoor adventures. Bring your truck to life. RealTruck.
All right, Schleiks, parting thoughts. Wrap the show.
Oh my gosh, Bob! I was going to have some things on here. There was a great one about
tomorrow.
Yeah. We got to get the one about Gitmo because I want to see everybody's in Cleveland's response to that one. Because especially since you were just there. But I'm going to say this, guys. Like you kind of go back, and I was just going back through the show sheet, and it's something that you can't take lightly. And there was two of them that were on there. One, 6 minutes was the total amount of time that Ohio State trailed in the entire college football playoff. Like that's unheard of, right? 4 games against that schedule. You only trailed for 6 minutes. They started fast and violent, played at a high level. And then I think another thing, as the draft gets near, it was just how special that running back duo is. And it really goes off of the point of Lathan and competitive excellence. When you have Quinshon Judkins, who came in, had over 1,000 yards, had 161 yards receiving, 16 total touchdowns. Trey, 144 yards, over 1,000 yards of rushing, 284 receiving, 11 total touchdowns. And like these guys, potentially first and second round draft picks, like that was a very, very special backroom of which both of them came together and said, collectively, we can be the best in the country and set our team up for success. And they were at their best in that playoff. So it's just cool to go back through the show nuggets and like get those out there and talk about it. But gonna miss those guys. But you know what though? Ohio State reloads.
Absolutely, Schleifer. We needed you the most. You gave us our best. We'll be talking to you tomorrow, maybe a little bit earlier than normal. So stay tuned, stay locked in here on the Bobby Carpenter Show.